this weekend. Where's Urel gonna land? Now we have her in the first pick position against Dignitas on the last map, but that could also be because they know how much Wooby likes the hero. But at this point, are we gonna see Urel being banned out? Is that gonna be a thing? Gonna go first into a more of a meta ban, the Slugger being banned out instead. But now Method has to make that choice. Do they ban Genji? Do they ban Tracer? Are they gonna get rid of Urel? What does the mad scientist have up his sleeves for Game 2?
Well, now they're taken away, and Method will think about it. Do they want to give Urel over to Wubby? Something that he has stated is a favorite for him. Do they feel like they can control him well enough? Lots of question marks here.
There's definitely, you put it best, there's a lot of question marks at this point because you know that there's a lot of high priority bans that we would normally see targeted here, but with the meta now being shaken up slightly, teams have to figure out which heroes they are okay with letting through. And no Tracer first pick allowed on the side of Team Dignitas, which could bring us to that early Urel pick for them instead now. But this is basically already a statement. Method is simply saying, we think we can deal with Urel if you prioritize her. You might still go for Genji, you might still go for something else, but we don't want to deal with your Tracer.
Yeah, which is, I was actually wondering if we would get the Malfurion, which has been a favorite for Team Dignitas. But they give that up and go over to Genji.
That's the thing. Malfurion is still amazing,
yeah,
but I think with Genji, Tracer, the mobility that they bring, Urel now all of a sudden moving to the top, going into a Malfurion first pick is not as clear of a decision anymore as it was in the past, because you have now so many other heroes that contest the priority, and your Malfurion can actually be punished. And also you have other supports that start to become a bit more viable. With the changes to Rhaegar, he's all of a sudden, thanks to Cleanse, mostly another option that you can always use. Malfurion in the second rotation now with a 1-2 with Muradin. So this time, on this map, Urel not prioritized just yet. And instead, Dignitas still has an opportunity on going for the top lane. Yeah, but it's also a big map, so you could see the Haka again taken.
Our first couple of picks have certainly become muddy, that is for sure. Now with Malfurion being taken away, Team Dignitas seems to favor Karazim, gosh, why is my brain blanking right now? What is the other hero that moved to? Karazim and Deckard, there we go. As options there for their second support. They fall after Malfurion. If you want to go for a dive and trying to force fights, Karazim obviously the better pick in that selection. A lot of the Korean teams have even picked Karazim in their second and third slot, especially at the MSB.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I would actually assume that Method, that a huge part of why they picked Malfurion now in the rotation is because they're facing Dignitas.
Sure.
I think, of course, you want to have Malfurion if you can. If the option is there, you want to go for it. But I think one of the reasons why they prioritize Malfurion now in that rotation is also because they're saying, we know how strong Dignitas is with that hero, so let's make sure that they don't get it. Against another team that is a bit more flexible is the wrong word, but has shown a bigger variety on supports and maybe not as much of a dominant play with one specific hero.
Sure.
I think they would have been okay just letting the support slide for now and take something else instead.
Well, we get Urel as the third pick coming in for Team Dignitas. So we'll be looking to keep her up in the top lane. So, the ability to force fights is now going to go heavily handed over to Team Dignitas. Method on their side need to think about any heroes that they're scared of fighting off against or any poke that can come their way. Someone that we haven't seen too often from between these two teams, Hanzo, could be something that could be annoying to deal with, especially around the turning points. Also, main tank.
The top lane battle interests me even more than the main tank right now, because with the priorities that we see from Method, they are, I mean, already Muradin again, right? So super high priority on him, first of all. But when we're talking about Urel, this is Method saying, we can deal with Urel. They just they knew that Dignitas would very, very likely take it on the 2-3. So they're just saying, we can deal with that. And I want to know what Ethereal Angel thinks, what's going to be the answer here? What's going to be the hero where they say, okay, this is how I defeat this? Is it going to be the Haka? Are we going to see them try to use a global instead? Or are they going to go for a completely different approach here? And, I don't know, set Blaze up at the top and just say, okay, we like that. That's the fight that I'm looking forward to the most.
Someone that, in my limited experience with Urel, that I've actually enjoyed playing against her with is Malfield. Actually, that's pretty decent. Being able to wave clear and, of course, sustain yourself through, you're in a pretty solid position. Now, of course, you do have the issues of when you pick a Malfield, you have a hard time forcing the fights that you actually want, but he does pretty well up there. Also, Zeratul, whenever you're able to finish up your quest and moving towards that late game, he becomes more of a factor that it feels Urel is, although in the early game, Urel does really well.
Medivh banned out. against Method. It's another one of these heroes. It's very particular in that case. Diablo also taken away. Here comes Tacita Phoenix.
Double support.
I mean, the Phoenix is just fantastic in HGC Europe right now.
Yeah.
Had the double support again, yeah. A lot of interrupt potential against any channel on the altar, so a bit similar to what he offers on other maps. Of course, the vision aspect too.
Does that equal Thrall for a 5th pick for Method?
You could go Thrall here too. I mean, it really gives the synergy with Phoenix, especially if you're heading into Earthquake. So if you're trying to capitalize on slows through Phoenix damage output, you could go for Thrall. Tacita can supply a bit of extra armor through Carla's Light on level 4 if they want to go down that path. I guess it depends a bit on what Dignitas now chooses for the front line.
Johanna's up and available for Dignitas. They want to have the wave clear. Would have a harder time chasing down Genji, but you still have a solid anchor for your team in the middle of a team fight.
For whom?
For Dignitas, if they want to move into that main tank. Ooh, they get Garrosh though. Garrosh and Li Ming.
Full reset combo again. And the setup through Stay a While and Listen if they get it. Alright.
I'm curious what they do.
Show me what you got,
yeah.
Ethereal. Surprised me a bit that they take this long for that pick. I would have assumed that with them giving Uriel up, that Ethereal already had a very, very clear picture in his head of what he wants to take on that lane. I mean, my biggest Thrall and Yahaka are Thrall Yahaka plays are the three that immediately come to mind with this. With Thrall, you have more synergy with Phoenix, but you might be a bit more in trouble against Garrosh. Tacita again can mitigate to some extent. Yahaka will give you the global that you have here, but you're very reliant on the drags, and you might not bring as much teamfight damage to it as you would like to. Blaze has a little bit of everything, so more of a defensive pick for them, which is maybe what they need here against the reset combo.
For me, it's Thrall and Malthael. Mostly because I want more damage in here, but both I'm worried about because of Genji. They go
Zeratul.
Okay.
You mentioned him earlier. With that setup, I actually didn't really think they would go for it.
It's more late game oriented for sure. I mean, Zeratul's power spike obviously at 16. We're moving into the clean build. You can just stay alive in top lane, and you always do worry about the threat if you are trying to harass the back line, dropping into a wormhole, dropping down the cleave, and then you try to escape. You have a Genji chasing you down. You have a really hard time trading into him. But it's Ethereal, and he thinks this is the answer.
I'm hyped for this. 1-0 for Method. I don't think that this draft is as clear-cut as the first one.
No.
I mentioned it during the game on Tomb, or as we were heading into it in game number 1, that I think that Method got exactly what they wanted on Tomb. I don't really think that they got away with everything here. They still have the Muradin, and Bad Benny did extremely well. Not only actually in the first game, but also last weekend on Muradin, he looked extremely powerful there. So I think he is at least going to be very comfortable with that choice. They have taken Malfurion away, but I think outside of that, they had to adapt a little bit more to what Dignitas was doing here now. Dignitas, on the other hand, it's a good setup. Nice resets, and of course also Uriel, the GOAT.
On the left side, in the blue, Wubby to play Uriel, Poik playing Li Ming, and JPL playing Garrosh, Zelia on Deckard, Snitch on Genji. And Li Ming talking to us, man. Already coming out fierce-like.
Yeah, that's how she rolls. To the right side, Method with a lead in the series, and AD on Tacita again, Bad Benny on Muradin, Nick, of course, on Phoenix. We're seeing Athera on the side lane, Zeratul for him, and Curson on Malfurion.
Supports are going to be working double time here for Method. A reset composition is always terrifying. You lose one, you usually lose all. But with Tacita Shields coming in, this is one that you talk about it in game number 1, but Carla's Light coming out, I wouldn't mind having it here. Just to make sure that you're able to have that armor available on your target getting picked up.
I would be shocked if it's anything else.
Yeah, I agree. You gotta stop those resets, and that will definitely help you do that.
Yeah, not only that, I mean, who's gonna bring out the auto attacks? Yes, you have you have Zeratul there, and of course Phoenix, but Phoenix relies heavily on his shield mechanic, so the hit point pool is not as important to him as to other heroes, like let's say for example Vala or when we're talking about Tracer. So I would really say against Garrosh in particular, and against the reset combos, the extra armor is what you're looking for.
Already a little bit of pressure on the top lane on Zeratul. A Snitch went up there. Toss from Garrosh though. Good throw, Bad Benny straight in the turrets. He takes it for a little bit, gets some shields and some healing. Turns around and drops the Stormbolt already, and looking at 4 stacks so far for Bad Benny.
I really like, by the way, Zelia's play on Deckard. You talked about that 2-on-2, and normally we're highlighting his Malfurion play more so than anything else, since he just had an insane track record with Malfurion in Phase 1, 2018. But his Deckard setups were actually pretty fantastic. Those Stay a While and Listen set up so many opportunities for kills for Dignitas in the last game. I can definitely tell while this is slowly starting to become his staple.
We did talk about it. That and the Karazim are the ones that he's been enjoying a lot more lately. Didn't really have a good run with Stukov.
Yeah, Stukov wasn't really a pick where he necessarily excelled.
Said that he felt like he didn't have the plays, which, to be fair, if you're not able to land that route, Stukov does feel like he's kind of missing, you know, a little bit of something in his fights.
It just felt that it wasn't the hero that aligned itself properly with the way that they were playing, the general playstyle of Dignitas too.
Yeah.
And yeah, Malfurion is great, Deckard Cain is really working well for Zelia, and now he can show that again in this series. For me, one of the big changes is definitely, you mentioned that as we were heading in, Bad Benny on the main tank position. He just feels, it feels so more natural seeing him play on the main tank now, the way that he anchors play,
Sure.
the way that he is setting kills up. If you compare that to his experience and his performance on the off lane, it's just so much better. And immediately, again, him trying to go into Perfect Storm here and attempting to set up kills is already working for them. Because when we look, for example, towards Breeze, when we saw him in the previous series against Granite Gaming, he still prefers to go into third win most of the time. And it allows for a bit of a different playstyle, since you can tank more damage at the front and then move out of the fight real quickly, and your support also doesn't have to focus you that much when it comes to keeping you alive. So with Bad Benny, it's more so him trying to create kill opportunities for Phoenix and Zeratul here.
Definitely knows how to push those warriors to the limit. It feels like he just knows how to go in for as long as he possibly can and then get out of the fight. Now with 3 altars spawning, one to the south, one top left and one top right. Let's see if their teams contest. Looking at the compositions here, feels like Dignitas should be able to get both of them. Putting 4 in the bottom should be good, and then of course Yirel just buys time like crazy in the top left.
Ethero's job at the top lane just sucks in this game.
Yeah.
He just sits there, he's already on a squishy. He needs to solo lane, which you can as Zeratul, no doubt. You have the wave clear, and you do well in a lot of gauges. But then Genji comes in all the time, so it's a really uncomfortable spot for Zeratul to be in. So far, Ethero is doing well, but he's the one who, whenever he doesn't pay attention for a second, he's going to fall. Talk about falling! First blood in the game. Phoenix getting bodied down here.
And he did. And without Tassadar being there, you have Malfurion frantically trying to keep him alive, but as long as Snitch just puts pressure on Nick in particular, and that's what he did there, the rest of Team Dignitas can follow up, and he was cleaned up quickly. That's 1 altar going over Team Dignitas. No, I'm sorry, 2. And he also grabbed the top left one, and with a 3rd still being available on the top right, Team at Dignitas can push out this bottom lane and demand that Method stay around this area.
Yeah, so no one is going for the channel just yet. There's still 2 heroes around that can interact with Tassadar and Zeratul, and they're not trying to go for it yet. Oh, dimensional shift being popped as Ruby is about to move in. But the transition is now starting slowly. Dignitas has the early level 7, and they are trying to make their way over towards the top right. Method is willing to stall that out. And of course, if they stall it out, it also delays the next altar phase, so they are already aiming for a late game scenario here.
Hero, Singularity Spike will delay. Hero, oh, so much damage, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes they look at Genji and I just, whew. That's a hero.
But again, I want to highlight this quickly because this is already showing a bit Method's cards here. They are trying to bring this to the late game. So they lost all 3 of the altars, and I think they accepted that early on. And they just said, delay it for as long as you can and make sure that we are going to a late game here, because that's when our composition is really going to start and get some value around the level 16 for Zeratul, for example, when you have the added power spike on your cleave. That's super important for you to reach. So if they can stall the game out towards the late game, they're going to be happy with this. So we can expect Dignitas to dominate the early objective phases and Method trying to just snowball it then later on. But for that, they need to also keep in experience range.
I mean, yeah, just look at them. I mean, you look at Phoenix, you look at Tassadar, their 10s are important, 10 important for Zeratul, 13 important for Muradin. Mid to late game, definitely not what they want. And Team Dignitas so far is all in to do that. They're working on sappers, pushing out the map, looking to put a little bit of damage on that bottom right fort, maybe take it as soon as they can. Getting to a point, though, where Zeratul can start to look to double soak, so that means Tassadar, if he needs to, can peel down and help out his teammates. So far, he's been kind of a soak machine. Has been watching that middle lane while Zeratul watches top. Another throw here from Bad Benny as he gets tossed into the corner. Boy put some damage on him. Shouldn't be able to get this kill.
Now Zeratul is still holding that top experience, but again, Bad Benny locked down here. Good job though, as Malfurion uses Tenacious Cure to make sure that he is not gonna fall here. Another Stormbolt attempt by Bad Benny, currently sitting at 15 stacks, so again, doing fairly well with that. But we have altars spawning once more. It's a single altar on the map now. Experience is still roughly the same, but level 10 should get a bit faster for Team Dignitas, so another very likely situation where they're going to pick up an objective.
Giappa walks in and checks out the bush, and Method will put some damage on him, but Zelia is here to heal him.
They're contesting this time. Zeratul is rotating in. They're willing to take this, even though 10 is going to be there for Dignitas in a few moments. Method thinks that they can stall this out until they have their own heroics.
But Dignitas is working on 10. Remember, Yrel with that Divine Steed immediately goes to the middle lane, will clear out that lane. Zelia starts to channel, and Method will have to back up. The threat of 10 is a little bit too much.
I don't think they can really just engage into that again, but Tassadar is actually thinking about it. He was positioning himself to interrupt this, but now he's getting immediately attacked here. Dodge is out for now, but AD is down. Yeah, that was a bit too ambitious trying to interrupt that. Dignitas was expecting it. AD was starting to move in position, and Dignitas immediately replied with 3 heroes converging on him, and they fired everything towards the wall, so AD had to move to the left and couldn't go for the gate, but that zoned him out then.
Tassadar, man. When you get caught, that's for sure. Low on health pools nowadays. JPL diving into this fort. Goes in for the taunt. Nick trying to get this kill, or trying to escape as Snitch goes for it. Gets
No
the last
way.
couple of auto attacks. I can't believe he actually got that.
Yeah, Snitch gets the kill, is able to move out. Fantastic performance by him here on Genji again, and just absolutely justifying that Genji first pick once again.
And this means this bottom four is now open. Sappers are running in. Fort will take some damage. 5 seconds before we have Nick on the field, and that's where a majority of the damage is from Method. So Dignitas will take this opportunity to try and open up the map and hold it. Bad Benny trying to delay as much as he can. He steps forward, drops down the Stormbolt as well, but he still has to wait. He can't chase this. He needs Phoenix, who finally spawns and rotates over.
Now, Method so far has taken a beating, and that's what we more or less expected. This is really a composition that is now starting to become a bit stronger. They're of course going to try and contest this now slowly. It is a map where you have a lot of comeback potential, and Method needs to showcase that. They have their setup around level 10 now, and they are still roughly in experience range. Half a level behind, it's not too bad here. Still stacking on Bad Benny's Muradin, who by now sits on 24, so he's 1 stack away, 1 Stormbolt away from getting his quest completed. And Zeratul has been forced to soak up at the top for most of the time. Starting to push that in, but this is really a moment where Method has to slowly start and contest some of these altars on the map.
Might be a weird time to bring it up, but Wubby is the only player in HGC history that has 2 40-0s against opponents. Might have a third here. As Team Dignitas already started pushing the bottom lane, looking to grab this fort. A few more shots go off and drops it down to 20. 40-20 is a score for Team Dignitas.
Yeah. I actually don't think there's any way that there's going to be a 40-0, because I think if that is about to happen and Method knows, okay, we have lost this, we're going to see a Void Prison used just to stall out one altar.
Knowing Ethereal, yeah, he's like, I'm not going down. We'll put out a fight.
I might lose this game, but we're going to get at least one.
They'll have a chance. Fifth altar phase, we'll have 3 altars for them to grab.
I mean, this one was also a bit awkward for Method to go for, simply because the 13 was again there. Method has to just choose their fights wisely, but I don't think they're going to panic that they're behind, because that was more or less the game plan from the start. The question is just how difficult is it going to get for you. Talking about difficult, Bad Benny, a bit of a difficult escape here, as AD already was in trouble. Will be jumping in, but dodged by the dimensional shift. Zeratul is still top, Phoenix bottom. It's all about the XP here. Dignitas is the team that looks for the fights. They have the 13 advantage, but Method is not falling for it.
And Team Dig will enjoy that trade of heroics as well. Wave of Force already up. Taunt will be up in about 25 seconds, whereas you look over to Murden, he'll have an extra 35-second window where Method will not have that avatar available for a fight, which means Team Dignitas, once that taunt comes up, can invade Sapper camps. They're actually setting up for that as they rotate to the bottom right corner and get aggressive. Ethereal looming in the shadows, though, willing to move in with that VP.
Yeah, they want to take this fight. It's a 13 versus 13 fight. It's one of the best ones they're going to get here, but they actually dodge it. Nick is a bit too low. He had too much pressure on him already, and with the damage dealer being in such an awkward position, they decide against it. But now it's again time for Tassadar to fall. AD already popping the Archon to get away, but Zeratul is dead. Malfurion follows. Now it starts to become a bit of a different story. Method's idea was to come back into this game towards the mid and late game, but Dignitas is controlling that completely now, and that's a massive blow against Method. This is really the time when they wanted to shine, when they wanted to start and make a comeback into this, but it's the exact opposite.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's starting to hurt.
That hurts a lot. That's 10 shots fired against the core, and they lost the control over the bot lane now too.
Especially when the next phase is going to be the 3 altars here.
Mm-hmm.
Method is going to need to make a play. They need 3 more levels 2 for level 16. That's when Zeratul comes online. He's almost there, but still, I don't think they'll have it just in time for the 3 altar phase. They'll have to be able to control at least 2 of them and stop their opponent from winning a team fight and getting a boss. Team Dignitas in a great position here to finish up the game.
I mean, this is the problem. If you are trying to set a composition up that really starts to pick up towards the mid and late game, and you're trying to stall it out until then, that can absolutely work for you. And we have seen it work several times, actually, where teams made fantastic comebacks happen on Towers of Doom. The problem is, if you then start losing fights where you are supposed to all of a sudden be at least a contender in the game. So when it starts to really snowball against you, it's tough to play that style from behind. And now Dignitas is about to take another lead in Talons, taking that level 16. They already are a level ahead. They have taken bot lane control. And for Method to break through that is going to be incredibly difficult. And I just want to highlight that. Method didn't have a single proper team fight. We didn't see a single Void Prison yet.
Not one.
There's like no setup where they had a Void Prison, where they had a Salvo or a Twilight Dream or anything, because all of the fights so far, they were willing to let them go, except for the last one. They were setting up to take it, but then there's so much pressure on Phoenix that Nick is forced back and they realize they can't actually go for it, but then they lose 2 heroes on the way back. And now Dignitas has claimed another lead in Talons. This is rough going for Method.
And they've barely gotten any damage on that. They need to force a fight behind this fort, and they're going to. They start to move in. Nick even teleporting aggressively towards the opponent. Stay a while as it comes out. Hits Archon on the back right. Nick is left by himself. Nick is down.
Fantastic.
And another kill comes in. Boyk is just going to blow people up now.
Fantastic taunt that we just saw from JPL. So
though.
the stay a while listen is fantastic. As I said, Ethereal is going to get 1 channel.
He gets it.
That's it, but yeah, things are not looking good for them at all. And this is actually going to be it. Is it? No, not quite.
No, Bad Benny's making a play here. Gets Boyk low.
4 for now, yeah? But it's still a 5 versus 3.
It is.
I mean, right now, if he is somehow able to go through that and get a kill here, that would be insane. But he's trying his hardest to not lose the game here. But they are about to be locked down. There's the root. Void Prison comes out. Athero still falls. Zeratul is down. There comes a quick silence as the Twilight Dream comes through. But I don't think that's going to be enough. Person is already on the run. And the only thing that Dignitas has to do now is go for the channel. 3 of the mercenaries went through 2. The pumpkins with the shots. And now it's 1 point on the core. Even the kill here against Malfurion now. Phoenix dead again. They are just bodying them there.
They're trying to buy time, though. Method's playing resilient. I mean, we did call them the cockroaches.
Yeah, but that is the second
reason.
time that Phoenix falls in this fight. And
Yeah.
Pasada, both of them for the second time in this battle, thanks to the low cooldowns on the death timers, are actually dying twice. And this is the win for Dignitas.
So Method gets a win in game number 1, but it seems they have activated Angry Dig as Dig shuts them down 37-0 on Towers of Doom. Incredible early gameplay.
Yeah, but again, it comes down to Method coming in with an idea that just didn't work out. The early game was something where Dignitas, they had to control it, but the idea of Method was to come online after level 10 and then towards the later stages of the game, especially around level 16, to all of a sudden pick it up. But the problem is they lost the 1 team fight where they thought, okay, now we can start contesting things. I mean, they didn't get a single kill.
They didn't even get to 16.
The pressure against Phoenix in particular was something that was extremely well done. And also, stay a while and listen with Garrosh just walking next to Tacita, taunt in insta blow up with a combo. There was just no way for ADRD to keep himself alive in that last fight. So extremely well done by Dignitas. Method with a game plan that just didn't work out and got shut down.
Azalea really figuring out how to use those stay a while listens, using them on 2 Spider Queen to make sure they secure turn-ins, but here to secure a couple of kills. So we go 1-1 in this series, which means we are all tied up as we get ready for game number 3. And this is a series that looks like we might go the distance. Sure, game 2, a little bit of a slump, but as you mentioned, it's composition here. So going into game 3, expecting a little bit more here from Method.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a fun one. For sure. 5 maps will be amazing, but we're going to get at least 4, and I'm already a fan of that. I'm sure that with the break that we're now heading into, Method is going to come up with a pretty decent game plan for the next one.
Well, let's do it. Let's go to break here as we head into game number 3 after this commercial.